Good morning, Dual Coast fans. We have a lovely morning this morning. Back by popular demand, we have Ian Patrick, the man.
All two have requested.
Popular for me.
As by popular demand, requested to return.
No one voted, so I was in.
Yeah. For some of you, it's the first time because you didn't see the last episode with him.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yep.
So we'll look at it that way. Does that make you feel better?
Ryan, thank you for coming back. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming back on this morning. How you guys doing this morning?
Ryan, how are you, buddy?
Oh man, early, excited. Gonna try to keep it on track.
Okay.
Myself. That's not my specialty, as you know. I get excited about the world around me, and
that's okay.
My wife loves to say, dial it down a little bit.
I have you used your hands like this today, right? And just a moment ago. And I have a buddy, we play smash ball on the beach, right? Which is like ping pong without a table and a net. So we're playing smash ball, and anytime he gets out of focus and we're not in rhythm, he always goes like this to like set himself. So the other day I'm on a call with my daughter, and I'm on the seawall, and there was a tournament the next day for cornhole. So my friend Jay, who plays smash ball with me, he's not a cornhole, but Mark was looking to kind of, tune up for the next day, right? So he asked Jay because I was on the phone. So Jay gets out there, and Jay's missing the board, 9 out of 10 times. So I walked out there while I was on the phone. I stood next to the board and I go, just like this. And then I walked back and sat down.
It's beautiful.
It's like, dude, right here, focus.
Come on.
No words needed.
That's it.
Ryan, great to have you back on Dual Coast, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's good to be here, you guys.
Ryan said basically at the end of our conversation, he's like, I have a whole nother loaded information, that I wanted to get out. And I said, dude, we'll have you back, So we were thinking maybe later in the fall, closer to Christmas or whatever. We had a slot open up, and it's like, this is it. So he's back. I know what the early morning hours feel like because I'm right with you on the West Coast. I don't know about you, man, but I was talking about sleeping and breathing and all that, man. I was in a deep sleep this morning when that alarm went off. When both alarms, I set two. Well, one wouldn't have done it today.
I did the same thing, and so we'll talk a little bit about sleep hygiene and stuff like that.
Good.
As well, but on nights when I really need sleep, I view everything as layers, right? And so I can shut down some of the outside layers. So I'll put on earplugs on shifts on nights before shift.
Okay.
Then because it limits how many times I wake up, and because maybe it's from my job and maybe it's from being used to waking up as a firefighter so often that if there's any creak in the house, I'm like, I'm ready. Yeah. And so, you just limit those spheres. And so I did that last night. And I think my alarm was cooking for a while before I really recognized, what is that sound? And then I was like, oh yeah, I actually have to get up.
That's got to be tough when as a firefighter, right? You're into a deep sleep at 3 a.m. The alarm goes off, and you've got less than 2 minutes to get in the truck?
We try to be a minute and a half. That's what now at nighttime, all the lights come on and they're red at the station I'm at. And so there's been many calls where I wake up while I'm standing in the room, like, what? Very confused because I was in a deep sleep, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I have to go. And everyone's like, where the hell have you been? I was like, sorry, I was waiting.
What does the red light do?
Yeah,
it just helps you. Your eyes don't need to adjust to red light, and so if you're under red light, then it doesn't ruin your night vision. So that's why inside of helicopters and whatnot, so we'll have red lights that we can turn on if we need to find something in the engine. But it's kind of meaningless because I have a huge computer that sits in front of me. So last show that I did, I had my blue light blocking glasses on. So I'll take those with me at night calls. And then my crew always lets me know how douchey I look in Orange. Like, well, sorry, buddy. I would like to fall back asleep when I get back to the station.
So, do you have those? Do you have those glasses right next to you right now?
No, they're in the room right now. Yeah, it's
because Dan and I and the guests would have a commentary time.
Right. Good. It feels just like home then. That's good. I wouldn't want to get a big ego. That's for sure. That's what's good at work. They cut you down right away.
Yeah, those are cool though. Those glasses, I like that a lot. Blue light, blue light blocking.
Yeah. So part of this whole LifeSpark experience too is taking basic things. So it's not about like technology all the time and testosterone replacement. We have no judgments about any of that. That's needed at times, but it's about the basics, the simple things that tie us back to our natural environment. And when you look at light as a nutrient versus just a thing, it changes kind of how, and then you realize, wow, when I get this light and what kind of light I get sets my circadian rhythm. We have cytochrome C oxidase, which is a chemical inside of our mitochondria that pick light up, that goes into the mitochondria and allows the mitochondria to clear nitric oxide out faster, replace it with oxygen. And then the ATP synthase pumps that are crazy on mitochondria, it helps those spin better. So we actually need light. And so when you view it as a nutrient, that could be part of your healing process. Mm-hmm. Now it's more of some people would argue that it's a fine tuning part. I would argue that it could be a primary stressor. If you're getting the wrong kind of light at the wrong time of day, or too much blue, what our bodies crave is full spectrum. And so that's why, we've been taught to fear sunlight, and man, do we need sunlight? And a lot of the studies that people look at with skin cancers and stuff are isolated studies. So I'm not saying it's not possible to get skin cancer, especially, Russ, you're a California guy. You see it a lot. And so, but getting a healthy amount of light, not burning, and getting that light through your eyes, because the way we operate, what I say all the time is the system is bigger than we think. Mm. And when you start realizing that, you start realizing my eyes are open. They're not just for seeing. We take information in of all different kinds in through our eyes. And those photons are entering and creating processes inside of our body. Even something as simple as smelling a rose, right? It's something you never think about. You're absorbing that smell into your body, and your body wants it. Yep. This system is huge, and we look at a very narrow bit of the system and say, oh man, what's wrong with me? Well, I mean, I can't tell you about the whole system. I'm just seeing pieces of it, and it's massive. Yeah. And so sleep, as we segue this into sleep, all this kind of plays together.
Dan, I better see posts of you smelling roses, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to use all my
yeah. What sometimes you'll say is something cool like me. It's like, ooh, I want to get that smell in my body. When someone hears that, they don't understand what you're talking about.
Oh, man.
I want to get that smell in my body.
Speaking of sunshine vitamin, man, on Sunday afternoon, it was like picture perfect. Like if you could dial in the most perfect temperature, the right amount of sunshine, and nobody on the beach, Sunday was it. I went down there, I took a book and my reading glasses and my sunglasses, and I had my sunglasses on. I sit back in the chair, I started reading, and I knew it was like, I need a nap. So I didn't even get through one page. I put the book down. I don't know, probably, 10, 15 minutes, woke up feeling refreshed, like nobody's around. Nobody's around. It was like, this is unbelievable. It was a beautiful day. And then my buddy Bob came later and we played smash ball, and he was like, dude, it is like perfect out here. And I was like, I know. Like the sun feels so amazing. It was just a beautiful day. So Dan gets the roses.
Environment.
I get the vitamin D. Yes.
Yeah. and we can talk about.
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, Dan, you tell us. I mean, how was you get the beach vibes? Anything?
I mean, when New York has the weather for it, yeah, for sure.
What do your roses look like in that New York air?
Oh, beautiful.
They're a lot cooler than our roses on the West Coast, right?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. Hey, well, Ryan, give us for those that didn't hear, round one with you, give us a 30 second recap, and then let's segue right into today's conversation.
Okay. So my name's Ryan Patrick, and I'm currently a lieutenant in the fire department for Clackamas Fire, which is like I love saying this, the third largest fire department in Oregon.
I love how your eyebrows went down. It was very serious.
Very serious. Awesome organization, of course, filled with great people. And my background, I've always been athletic, really into movement of the body. One of those people that express themselves through just interacting, in a physical way with the world. And originally I went to commercial dive school in Los Angeles Harbor at College of Oceaneering, and became an advanced dive medic. And so worked with hyperbarics and stuff there. And then also rode in an ambulance back in 97 in Long Beach City, Compton, Watson, East LA, and not for 911, just for patient transfer, which that experience there in those communities was definitely life altering, just to have the view I do about the world and how we're all the same at our core. And so did that, and then went into wildland fire for about 6 seasons, and then met my wife, and being away all summers didn't sound so attractive. So I had to find something where I could kind of mix these worlds. And so I found becoming a paramedic, working in Portland, then eventually became a firefighter about 18 years ago. And been at Clackamas Fire the whole time. And I'm inspired on a daily basis by the amount of effort that people put in just to help, non-ego driven effort, which is inspiring. And, sometimes I can inspire others with that, but sometimes I need to be inspired by others. And so that's the cool thing about the fire service. It really is a brotherhood that keeps you, that keeps you going in a way, because sometimes it's you that leads, and, leadership isn't who's in charge. Leadership is who is, taking inspired action, and letting that trickle into everyone around them. And so, we all trade off on the people who are doing that the best in any given moment. So,
it's awesome.
So kind of a varied background. And, as a firefighter, eventually I injured myself, a fall from a building during a rope class, and injured my spine. And that kind of started a cascade of problems, working at busy stations. And so over time, that injury and emotional disturbance I was under, I tried to ignore it and push through it. And that manifested itself as a severe severe anxiety and insomnia. Sleep anxiety was really what it was. And so for about 7 years, I lasted on about, tops 3 hours a night of sleep. And I got to have an awesome perspective of what happens when you don't, and that's why experiencing that and being in a, world like I was, having an awesome family around me, I was able to transmute that in a way that became something very positive. And that's the whole basis for LifeSpark being a phoenix rising out of the ashes, with cold and heat and the breath. And so that's basically my journey in a nutshell, that leads me to here. And now my job is to try to, I figured some secrets out along the way in my healing process. And I feel like I have to tell everybody, because we all need this information.
Absolutely. A lot of people, Dan, do you sleep? Do you struggle with sleep?
Only if I'm in the hospital. So if I'm in the hospital, I have to sleep in the hospital, then I struggle with sleep. Yes, for sure. When I'm at home, not so much. No.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
No.
No.
Quick
That's
answer.
awesome.
Quick answer. No.
My wife does not either. And as someone, when you are struggling, she is such a incredible person. She would try to rub my forehead sometimes, and within 4 seconds, her hand would go still, and I would just lay there for a while with her hand like this, and I'm like, and there were nights where I was like, doggone it, like I want that. That's what I want.
That's fast.
And
Wow.
yeah, like it was amazing. And then her hand would jump,
Yeah.
where you're like, oh,
Jolt,
good Lord,
jolt.
thank you. But that's what I wanted. And so, when I was really bad in the phase, I thought, that's not me. I can't do that. I don't sleep well. And so I guess the first lead into this is that, so I guess I can explain it like this. We have a system in our body that communicates how we're doing. In a sense, when you're walking down the street and you step on a nail, that nail goes into your foot, a neurological signal goes back to your brain, and it creates a pattern change. So you can give that time to heal, right? That pain sends a signal that you listen to, and you need to listen to it. So you stop walking on your foot, you take care of it, you bandage it, and you allow it to heal. The emotional system is the same system. It's the exact same system, but it's not aligned necessarily with our body. It's more aligned with our purpose or spirit or connection to the world around us. When we have a negative emotion, or we find ourselves in a, let's call it negative emotional state, that is a signal coming back to us. Our body doesn't speak English. It can't tell us what's going on. So it only speaks through pain, discomfort, or good feelings, positive feelings. And so the language it speaks, you have to learn to listen to it. And when that emotion comes into your sphere, and overwhelmingly, it's meant to change your pattern. So you become more in alignment with what you believe about the world around you. But we've been taught to suppress our emotional systems. Yeah. And we talked about it a little bit before, which is, come into work, don't bring home into work. You be a good version of yourself here and be terrible at home. And so that's awful. Like, you can't do that. That's creating that's a segmented human. I'm work me, I'm home me. And that is a lot of places for disease and for real problems, mental and physical, to take root. And so what happens is you ignore this, ignore it. And slowly over time, it starts releasing inflammatory markers because now you're ignoring it. So now it's slowly, that emotion becomes physical over time. And it manifests itself in the way of thinking, the way you see the world, and physically in your body. And so by the time it gets physically into your body, people say, I need to go to a doctor and get this looked at. So they go to their doctor, and the doctor says, I don't know why your knees are swollen and hurting. Or they say, well, take this anti-inflammatory, give yourself time to rest, but you've never addressed that baseline emotional issue that led you there. Boom. And that's the big disconnect. And I went through that process, seeing a doctor after doctor, and they're like, well, take more medicine. And, then I start medicating myself and going to sleep with Ambien and a Manhattan, and then 2 Manhattans. And then, drinking never became my problem, but it wasn't helping. Yeah. It wasn't helping me find my way out, because I was trying to think my way out of a box. And you can't think your way out. You have to feel your way out. That's when you have to drop into your heart. That's the power of breath work. And that's at that time, I expressed before, when I was at my rock bottom, my wife supported me the most brilliant way. And she said, well, decide to get better. And that's when I found Wim Hof. When I went to Poland, I remember talking to Wim about this, saying, I think you saved my family because I'm sleeping better after doing this breathing. And he was he was like, yeah. He's like, well, I didn't, you did. You know, he's not interested in being your yogi. You know, he was like, yes, you did it. And, you know, that's great. But something ignited in me, like, what about this breath work is doing that? What is happening? Like, if my manifestation, yes, I had body pains and aches, I had inflammation, joint issues, dental issues, all of these things were going on at a, you know, intensely. But where I really felt it was that lack of being able to sleep, not being able to fall asleep, or if I do, I woke right back up, just a snap. And 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and that was absolutely brutal. But then I do this breathing. What the heck is going on? And Wim told me, he said, oh, that's because when you breathe, you're fixing all the, he actually said, well, you're fixing all the shit that goes wrong. And so he doesn't always explain it. He knows it, but he's got a lot of people to talk to, and he's doing his thing. And he's like, all I need to know is, yeah, you're fixing it.
You're good.
Yeah, you're good. And so I was like, what does that even mean? That's when I stumbled on to Dan Brule, who they call the Bruce Lee of breathwork, who is Tony Robbins' breath coach. And I stumble onto this guy. I start listening to how he feels about breath. And he used to be a Navy diver. And so that diving thing and a medic, I'm like, oh man. And he has some early EMS experience when EMS was just starting. And so, you know, I thought, man, this might be a guy I can learn from.
Yeah.
And so I started feeling his style of conscious connected breathing. And again, it was helping so much in my brain. And I kept thinking, but, you know, I had to search on my own to what's going on. And to understand what's going on, you have to understand why lack of sleep is so unhealthy. And I have like notes here because it's just shocking how unhealthy it is. And what's really happening is, one, it impairs glucose handling. So basically you become a short-term diabetic after one night of poor sleep. It disrupts your hormones. Testosterone goes down, cortisol goes up, and HGH goes down, human growth hormone, which is our repair mechanism, right, in our body. Inflammation flies. And so it activates our inflammatory triggers in our cells, and we just start pumping out inflammatory markers like inflammatory interleukin 6 and whatnot. And oxidative stress through the roof, neural fatigue. So it messes our brain chemicals up, low brain derived neurotropic factor. And so we're exhausted. And then just our overall neurotransmitter imbalance of our brain. So in a nutshell, we have a system in our brain that is glutamate, our activity system, and gamma aminobutyric acid that calms us down. That's our relaxed state. And the balance of that, when it gets thrown off, it really messes our sleep-wake cycle. We don't want to be running from a lion or really, you know, usually it manifests in racing thoughts. Like you want to go to sleep, and pretty soon you're like, well, then I have to pick up the laundry, and then I have to go down here, and I'm gonna make hot dogs tomorrow. You know, what are you talking about? Stop. And so understanding what goes wrong, but then I started looking into how you correct it. And my head exploded because it made sense when Wim said, oh yeah, you're fixing it. Okay, so that brings us into the first style of breath work that I did to start feeling better. And that was a mix of the Wim Hof method, is what they say breathing wise. Now, first of all, before I even talk about it, this is a breathing more style, and a breathing less, but really because you're holding your breath, but you're hyperventilating first. This is very powerful, and it's not, you know, people take it lightly. I had a guy at work, after I told him about it, he did it while driving his truck. Okay. After I said, don't do things like that. So he was driving his truck. He's one of our drivers, our apparatus operators, and he drove off the road through a fence.
Oh, wow.
What are you doing? You know, and he was like, oh man, you got to be careful with that. And I was like, God, I told you, don't do this. Another thing is, don't do it when you're like, people want to do it while they're laying on a mattress in the middle of the water. Not a good idea, because you are altering your state.
Yeah.
And you're overriding your breathing trigger. So if you plop into water, you're going to be not alive. I can't say it more clearly. And you won't even notice it. It's so these are powerful, powerful things. Now, when you see all the things that happen with sleep, with lack of sleep, then you can go line by line. Impaired glucose handling. Okay. So when you do a Wim Hof method breathing, or I have a personal proprietary style breathing, one that I came up with called catch breathing, that is like this as well, where there's a brief 15 to 20 big breaths that you take. We do ours through our nose, but you can do it through your mouth too. Breathe your carbon dioxide down, and then you've changed the pH in your body, and you're just signaling all these resilience triggers. Excuse me. And then you hold your breath on empty lungs. And through catch breathing, I monitor your pulse oxygen saturation the whole time. And so where I want you to get is in the low 80s. Wim Hof method, you get much lower than that. And I mean much lower. So lower than
like what number?
40s, 50s, like not a lot. Like as a paramedic, when I see 40s or 50s, I'm like, safe travels.
100%.
Like, yeah, you're not, Dan, like,
that's low.
A clinical low. 40 is this person is like, we're probably doing a cardiac arrest and they're starting to lose the ability to exchange gas in their lungs. And so, but like when you see a congestive heart failure patient with a oxygen saturation in the 70s, that's worrisome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's severe hypoxia. So the Wim Hof, you get really low. There haven't been long-term studies on the brain health of going that low. Although after doing it, I feel like, like we are pretty incredible. And we're doing something on purpose. So could you push it too far? Sure. Absolutely. Could you push it to the point of having seizures? Yeah, I guess you could. But you'd wake up. And so I don't know about the long-term effect, but catch breathing keeps you in that 80. Yeah. So still severe clinical hypoxia. Well, all these things start happening. So number one was the glucose handling, right? So impaired glucose handling. Well, it activates something, lowers your free-floating glucose in your system by opening doors in our cells called GLUT4. Basically, in a nutshell, it doesn't use insulin to take sugar out of your system. So that short-term diabetic thing, it also releases something called lactate. And it's called the Cori cycle, where our bodies use, we don't have oxygen, so we switch to anaerobic or no oxygen glycolysis. And now we're trying to create energy for our body, or ATP, without the use of oxygen. Well, it's not very good at it. I think the transfer is, and Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's like 36 ATP when you have oxygen and 2 when you don't.
I believe that's correct.
Yes, I think that's right. And so
that's questionable. It's questionable.
Yeah. Russ, Dan, we'll ask Russ.
3. We're going 3.
It's 3. I don't think you can do 3. But so the cycle, so that lactate goes in to your bloodstream and it crosses your blood-brain barrier and is literally fuel for your brain. And then it goes back to your liver, gets changed back into glucose through this cycle, and then goes back to your muscles. And you can train that your body gets better at that Cori cycle. And so that's literally trainable, and we use that with athletes. So you fix the glucose thing, bam. So if you're worried about not sleeping, awesome. So what's the next thing? Oh, hormonal disruption, right? Hypoxia like that causes release of human growth hormone. So when you do a breathing cycle, when you get done with this, you're like groggy, like you just woke up. Well, that is all the neurochemicals that you just released, plus HGH in your system. So you do feel like you're getting up. So one of the fuels for my sleep anxiety was like, man, I'm going to have a heart attack. My heart's not repairing, because everyone, They try to motivate you to get more sleep by telling you how unhealthy lack of sleep is. Like, yeah, I know. I have a hard time letting my brain do it. And so they tell you this over and over and over. Well, now you can relax. So I had that anxiety side of it. Now I could relax saying, oh, it's okay. I just released HGH right now and started correcting my testosterone levels. And so we fixed that one. And so we go to inflammation. This kind of breath work actively suppresses interleukin 6 and interleukin 8 while not affecting interleukin 10 and in some cases raising it. Interleukin 10 is our good one, more of an anti-cancer one. It has other, all of these have so many. I would need a degree just in, metabolic, biology, but I do not have it. So we're going to have to talk like this. But 6 and 8 drop. Now, during the pandemic with, COVID-19, what was causing the COVID pneumonia was in a cytokine storm caused by interleukin 6. You can suppress that through breathing. Why, we should be telling everyone about this. Like, you're feeling sick, let's get you breathing. It also activates your immune system and activates in particular your killer cells, your natural killer cells. They cruise around and it activates those. And if you have an overactive immune system, it helps it relax, it balances it. So if you have a, immune issue, like autoimmune of some kind, like which is out of control in this country right now, it helps suppress that. For the neural fatigue, it helps your brain release BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and helps that happen. And it helps rebalance the GABA glutamate balance in your brain. So literally you can take it line by line and say, oh, like we can do this. Now, the other thing that you should pair with this is a short, high intensity HIIT, a HIIT workout. And because HIIT, you can't beat high intensity training for these effects. So the intermittent hypoxia with the HIIT workout, and a short one, like 10 minutes, doesn't have to be long. You have to get out of breath and work hard. Now, it's when you are exhausted, the last thing you want to do is a HIIT workout.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't want to do a whole bunch of them in the week. That HIIT workout and the breathing will last for 48 hours. It will correct this for 48 hours. So you have time to relax and truly know that I corrected all the negatives. The lack of sleep at our department, our wellness division, which is awesome that we have a wellness division, came around and they were doing presentations when I was right at the height of my lack of sleep. And they said, we found out recent studies show us that lack of sleep in one night is like smoking 1 to 2 packs of cigarettes. I was like, yeah. What? So I was like, that's not helpful. And everyone's like, I'm going to get 12 hours tonight. Okay. So you can correct all those things, which is mind-boggling. There is no need to worry, but you have to start prioritizing your self-care. Self-care is thought of as a luxury. It is not a luxury. It is a baseline for how we operate in this world. And if you don't believe me, check on how you're doing. How are your relationships? How are your relationships, probably most importantly, to yourself?
Yeah.
So when these systems get off balance, our brain takes the trauma that we've experienced and holds on to it like a drowning person. Like, you don't want to swim up to a drowning person because they're going to latch onto you.
Yeah.
And they're going to pull you under. And so you want to give them something to hold on to and keep them off of you. Our brain is the same way with trauma, with any negative experience, with pressure at work, with stress. So it holds on to these. And we start, if we're not really aware of how we're feeling, then our brain starts creating that and holding on so tight that it becomes a part of our identity. Mm-hmm. And we do not want the experiences we've had to be part of our identity if we hold them in a negative light. once we own them and we see why we went through it, and we experience the resilience that situation was providing for us, then we can own it and bring that into our being and say, that 7 years of no sleep, awesome. I am so glad I had that, because my perspective has changed so drastically, so dramatically from that awesome experience. Well, that is the part of that we want to bring into us.
Yeah.
And so,
but you're not thinking that in mid-flight. In those 7 years,
yeah, for sure.
No way.
You are battling it.
Yeah. I don't think a fighter pilot is thinking about his grocery list in the heat of battle. And that's kind of how it feels.
Good analogy. Good analogy.
Except I've never even been in one of those jets. But I imagine I'd be quite good. Does that make sense, though?
Yeah.
It does.
100%. 100%.
And so everything's conceptual and the nuts and bolts physical Newtonian physics world can leave you feeling hopeless. If you think of your body like a machine that just has functions, does this, does that, when I do this, this happens. That's why no one can express what the best diet is, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all so individual. And what we believe matters. And what you believe is possible is going to be true for you. Mm-hmm. And so when your belief system is one that is nuts and bolts and, hey, life is tough, and you keep telling yourself these stories over and over in your brain, then it is hopeless until you change your perspective, until when you can't overcome the world around you, it's you that needs to change.
Yeah. And
that's an opportunity to do so. And that in no way is submitting to pressures outside of yourself. That is realizing that I have to get through this, and I'm going to find the best way for me to move through it.
Yeah. You were going to have you were talking to us about maybe having your wife, Juliana, come on and share. If she was present with us right now, what would she add on to what you just stated?
First, she would tell me to clear my dresser off.
It's accumulating, I see.
Yeah. And don't throw clothes on the floor. She would tell me that straight up. But she is the belief, she is the ninja of belief systems. She is hyper aware of how she speaks to herself inside of her own head. And so she would say 100% that the most important thing is the speech that no one hears inside your head that you're repeating to yourself. Mm-hmm. Because when we anchor to a negative event and we make that part of our identity, then we're justifying our coping mechanisms to ourselves as a part of our identity. Like, I don't sleep, that's why I drink. Or I don't trust people because, I had a relationship that went badly. And then that can turn to really defiling self-hate. And what happens when we do that is we have an epigenetic genome, right? The epigenetics above genetics. And these emotions that we have that we're either suppressing or listening to and utilizing that system that exists for emotions. When I have a negative emotion, why? Well, that's because I really don't believe what this person is saying. Mm-hmm. It's not in alignment with me, so I'm not going to do the thing you want me to do. But thank you, thanks for sharing your opinion. Right. That's how it's supposed to go. Work is difficult. They're demanding too much of me. It's not realistic. Like that, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to spend more time with my family. And so and when we're doing that, these don't become issues. They just work through your body. It's normal to feel it. Frustration, all these things, we have to feel it. We just don't want to live there. Yeah. And so what happens is we have a severely traumatic event. It's maybe someone did something to you or hurt you or you almost died. And then when all we think about is that event over and over and over, we start creating our world from that event. The energy of that event now creates my future. So letting go of that is the most important thing. And how we speak to ourselves inside of our heads is the first step to that. And secondly, strangely enough, breath work helps us do that. And how? This is another part of the breathing heavy and holding your breath thing. So our ego is housed in the outside of our brain and our cortex, they believe. The more ancient reactive parts of our brain are, that midbrain and the brainstem and deeper down. But all of the stories we're telling ourselves live in the cortex, the outside. When you start breathing fast, you breathe your carbon dioxide down. Okay? That actually constricts blood vessels in the outside of your brain. It constricts blood flow. It reduces how much oxygen our brain's getting. Well, the side effect of that, it starts to shut down the default mode network. It shuts down the cortex, where the place where all these negative patterns are living in our brain. It shuts it down completely and allows it to fall away. And you feel yourself during this breathing dip beneath these emotions, maybe for the first time in a long time. And you are in a state of being for however long you do this breathwork pattern, and then you come back. And so it gives your body time to separate from those feelings. And when I left Poland from Wim the first time, and also when I came back from India with Dan Brule, I did a lot of work there, a lot of breathing. And both times I noticed I felt off when I got back, completely off. And the analogy used there is like dredging, doing commercial dive work, right? You're dredging a river to get it deeper. So you've now dug it deeper, but all the sediments in the water, and it takes time for that to settle. And the last thing you want to do is overthink it while that sediment's in the air. While you're feeling, you just want to notice and feel how you're feeling and be okay with that. And don't try to fix it. Don't try to cover it up with another pattern. Simply, I feel off today. That's okay. And then live your life to the best you can. Get the sun on your skin, smell flowers, do all these things that just bring you pleasure in the moment in a really healthy, positive way, and allow that to be there. And what you'll find is that will fade, that will settle, and you will be in a far better spot than you were. And when I was in high school, I would think if I put 1 through 10 on how I feel about the world and how magical I thought it was and how excited I thought I was about it, I would be a 10, right? I thought anything's possible. The world's beautiful. I can't wait to get out there. And then when I was going through my problems, I'd say 2. I didn't, I lost faith, religious faith. I knew love existed, but I couldn't explain it further than that. I didn't feel connected to anything in the planet. And then I went on this breathwork journey, and I feel like it's a 15 now, because now I'm even seeing more possible. I'm like, magic isn't even only possible. It's real, man. Like there are quantum things happening that we cannot explain. And just because we can't explain it, the system's bigger than we can see. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's hopeful. And so through this whole thing, I learned to shut my brain down. I gave myself space, and I stopped overthinking. Stop trying to think out of the box. Feel with your heart. How do you feel? How do you feel? I prioritized self-care. All of these things, and I was getting better. But there was
huge.
Still,
That's huge.
It was massive. And this is seeing, someone professionally, a psychologist, for years. And every time it was the same. How are you sleeping? Not good. How'd you sleep? Terrible. And we would re-talk it out, kind of re-traumatize every time. Well, let's talk about that call. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about your relationship problems. Let's talk about this. And so what I needed to do is not think, but feel and allow. And so that's part of breath work, is learning to soften. And the word surrender is thought of as a negative, negative connotation. Like, we don't surrender, but surrender is a very deep and beautiful word. Yeah. And when you surrender within yourself to be part of a system that you can't see, but you're going to try to bring your light to in the most positive way possible, then it's not only awesome, it is an honor. And and we should all feel deep gratitude for being allowed to put our light into this system. Yeah. And so what I noticed was, as I got better, there was still something off, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And that's when I found the teachings of Patrick McKeown and the oxygen advantage, in which we use with athletes. And well, everyone needs this, but excuse me. So what I found was, even in the mornings I would wake up, I'm doing all this breathe a lot breath work, right? And I'm overcoming kind of what people would call, anxiety. So I continue on this journey, and I realize when I wake up in the morning, I'm feeling breathless. I have days where I feel like I can't take a deep breath. Have you guys had those where you feel like you can't catch the breath?
Yes.
No.
You have not. Awesome. So, Russ, it's the ocean. That's what happens. You have the ocean. We're in the wrong place. So, when you have these days, you notice maybe I'm sighing a lot, or I'm taking tons of deep breaths, and I just feel like it's not getting in. Like, you're not necessarily short of breath, but you feel like you can't get that satisfying breath.
Yes.
Well, that is a signal that you're breathing too much in your day. Your mouth breathing, and you're breathing your CO2 down to a level where you've you've increased your sensitivity to CO2 so much that your body is sending you signals that you need more oxygen all the time. Because when we learn about CO2 does two things. It tells us when we need to breathe by the CO2 buildup in our system, and two, it governs how much oxygen is being handed to our cells. So if we're mouth breathing, we talked about it last show, mouth breathing versus nose breathing, right? 10% more oxygen every nose breath. Are you kidding me? Yep. And here we are living and unconsciously breathing through our mouth and dealing at nighttime still with our issues. And so I was over breathing every night. How did I know this? I was out of breath during the day. Mornings, right when I woke up, I'd feel like I was out of breath. I'm like, what is going on? And it was Patrick McKeown that told me about this, because he said, oh, yeah, firefighters with PTSD, it's very common to have panic disorder breathing. And I was like, panic disorder? I don't have panic disorder. You have panic disorder. I immediately got frustrated.
Put a right back on him.
I was like, holy crap, he might be right. I have panic disorder breathing. So I'm over breathing all the time, and the breath work I'm doing is over breathing. So I had created such a low tolerance to CO2 that when my levels got to a healthy level, I felt like I needed to breathe more. And so it was a cycle. So I realized, holy moly, breathing more is great, but you have got to aggressively be breathing less. You have to, in order to be a balanced, successful animal on this planet. And so we started experiencing some of this breathe more. Now, I do want to do something with you guys. Do you want to feel each of these things?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Ready.
So the first one I want to do a breathe more, and then I want to do a breathe less. And I want you to feel the physiological differences. And if you're out there watching this, do not drive while we do the breathe more. Don't drive. Don't do this in water.
You know that fence. There's fence where that fire truck went.
Yeah, there are fences. Well, it wasn't the fire truck. If it was, that would have been a big issue. And I would have been in a lot of trouble, not able to talk about breathing.
Okay, good. I feel better now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just his truck driving up. And he's fine. So don't do this while you're driving. This is powerful. And this is a practice called 20 connected breaths. Now, what this will help, well, let's do it and then we'll explain it. So I want you to feel how you're feeling right now, just your mental state and what you notice about how you feel. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 4 smaller breaths and 1 deep breath, 4 times in a row. We're going to do that 4 times, 20 breaths. At the last breath, I'm going to have you relax the air out, and you're going to turn your breathing to extremely light through your nose. Okay. Maybe even hardly moving any air at all. And you're not going to move any air until you feel the need to breathe, until you start feeling like you need to breathe. So we're going to just do that, and I'm going to guide you through it. And everyone listening, do this. And this, well,
unless you're driving.
Yeah, unless you're driving. Okay, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
So and how these breaths are going to sound, you can do it nose or mouth, however you want. I do mouth on this one just because I'm intentionally breathing my CO2 down. Okay. So how it'll look, I'll demonstrate is. And I want that sigh every time you breathe out. Okay? Okay. All right, so let's do this and let's see. Now you're going to feel dizzy. Don't worry, you're going to be okay. So
hold on to something, Dan. Hold on to
something. Don't be standing.
I'll shut myself in.
And so don't breathe so deep that you pass out. Just take a fuller breath on that 5th breath. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Take a breath in. Four. Good. Breathe in. Good. Pick up the pace just a little bit. And a big one. And a big one. Good. And one more time. Keep going. I know it feels weird. Keep going.
Wow.
And a big one. And a big one. And relax the air out. Let your eyes go closed. Let your eyes go closed. Become aware of your body and space. Let your mouth go closed. Let the dizziness drift away. Hardly any air. No need to take deep breaths. Relax, relax, relax. And notice the world around you. Notice what you hear. Allow your CO2 to slowly come back up. Notice any stuck energy in your body or any pain or any sensations that are talking to you in any way or trying to call your attention to it. And when you're ready, and when you feel like you could return to normal breathing, you can let your eyes come open. And now check in with yourself again and feel the state change that has happened. By breathing 20 times, we have allowed any stuck emotional state that we're in. And I have tested this in a fight with my wife. A relationship, the dumb fights.
Okay. Over clearing off the dresser.
Right. Yeah, the dumb ones that don't mean anything, right? And you both keep getting offended and it just goes on, and has nothing to do about what you each are doing to each other. We're all just frustrated and tired in our lives. And so this allows you to simply let go of the emotions that you're holding on to. Mm-hmm. And in my case, that I'll explain, when I was so mad at my wife because she didn't respond the way I wanted her to respond, I did this drill. And I was driving to the store and I pulled over in the parking lot and I said, okay, before I go home, I'm going to do this. And I did it one time and it didn't really do it. I did it 2 times. I felt a little better. The 3rd time I felt it release. And what it feels like is falls away. You simply don't hold on to the emotion that you were just holding on to. You allow that anger to drift. And I was able to walk back into the house and say, man, I am sorry. I was acting like a turd, and I don't know why. I was expecting you, and I was honest. I was expecting you to make me feel better by your reactions, and you weren't giving me what I wanted. That was my fault. I'm really sorry about that. And I didn't need her to say anything to me because I was apologizing for what I did, for my hand in it. And I was allowing her to respond the way she was and have her opinions and thoughts about it because, I know she's under stress too. So I was able to let it fall away. That's the power of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And the state change is huge.
Yeah.
Like it puts you into a Zen-like state, one where you're no longer reactionary, but you're able to see and to consider and not jump off the bridge, with too much emotion. So that's a breathe more style exercise. In Oxygen Advantage, they call this get out of your head. And Dan Brule and Conscious Connected Breathing calls this 20 connected breaths. And it's an extremely usable thing. Now, you can feel the dizziness that you felt though, right? So you breathe your CO2 down. So you got to do a drill sometime in the day or two to increase your CO2. Mm-hmm. And so the one I want to do with you guys, are you guys up for one more right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So the one I want to do with you guys is called breathing light. And you can do this, have you ever heard the term BOLT score?
I haven't.
Body oxygen level test. And what that is, a BOLT score is a kind of a rough estimate on how your body handles CO2. And so what you do when you want this BOLT score is you sit there and you say, you sit for 5 minutes, and then you take a normal breath in your nose, a normal breath out, and then you don't breathe until you feel the need to breathe. Now, you don't hold your breath. You're not pushing yourself. And until you feel the first real sign that you need to breathe, and that might be a little contraction in your diaphragm, or you just need to breathe. And then when you start breathing, you want to be breathing normal. You don't want to have to recover. And if you do it, if that happens, if you can breathe normal afterward, that's your BOLT score, that time. And if you get a really low BOLT score, like only 5 or 6 seconds, then you have a low tolerance to CO2. And that's something that's an easy, quick, down and dirty way to measure, like, is this breath work helping my CO2 tolerance? And so we want to see over 25 seconds. If you're over 25 seconds, your chances of having disorder breathing or non-functional breathing are much lower. And so where I was at was like 6 or 7 seconds when I was doing all this breath work. That was low. Wow. Yeah. And so doing this was a great way to and search BOLT score out. If you guys are interested in that, if people are listening, go onto YouTube. Patrick McEwen himself can explain it to you. The guy's a wizard. Amazing stuff. And so you do this BOLT score, and then you can measure, because we can't measure unless we have a starting point. And don't get your ego up. It doesn't matter what your BOLT score is, because who cares? Like you're trying to get better. So
don't score a 2, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, I'm going to beat you. Yeah, I'm going to beat you, but I don't care what it is. So when you do this, so now I just want you to feel a minute, just 1 minute of breathing light. And this is something you can do while you're at your desk. You can do, and this is great before bed, 20 minutes before bed. You can do 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And so I want you to start breathing through your nose, become aware of your breath coming into your nose. And now I want you to slowly start reducing the amount of air you're bringing in your nose. And feel that cool air feeling on the outside of your nose as you're breathing. And then feel the slightly warmer air as it exits your nose. and keep reducing the amount of air that you're breathing. And keep reducing it to the point where hardly any air is coming in and out, and you start to feel a little feeling of breathlessness. Don't allow this feeling of breathlessness to become so great that you need to breathe. So breathe accordingly. If you need a little bit more air, that's okay. But you just want to notice it and feel and get on the edge of when you're starting to feel that need for air or air hunger, so it's explained. And we're gently letting CO2 rise in our system. And now we're breathing so gently that we're hardly moving our nose hairs. Just simple breathing. It doesn't matter how we're breathing because we're breathing such a little amount of air that it doesn't really matter. And allow this feeling of breathlessness to be there in the background. And as you feel that, allow yourself to relax into that feeling. We can utilize this skill to enhance our body's ability to handle carbon dioxide. And as we increase carbon dioxide in our system only by 1 millimeter mercury, so if normal is 40 millimeters of mercury, and if we go to 41, we enhance our brain perfusion by 4%. So what if we do 5 millimeters of mercury? What if we get really good and go up to 45? That's 20% more oxygen. I've heard as high as 6% for every one. And that is breathing light. That's something we can do throughout the day. If you notice a low Bolt score, 5-6 seconds, then you should be doing that for 5 to 10 minutes every hour. And
wow.
In 3 to 4 days, you're going to notice a difference. Mm-hmm. So this are the kind of things that when your sleep starts optimizing and you start really sleeping again. So the other breath work was a great way to release the emotional attachments, but the CO2 tolerance breath work was absolutely needed for my physiology and for the deep sleep. And the last thing I want to say is, so when you're doing that, how we breathe during the day is mimicked at night. We can, we've all heard of sleep apnea. Now that's hypoxia as well, but that's chronic hypoxia for 8 hours a night. Very, very bad. So mouth breathing can lead to snoring and really worsen sleep apnea. And there's something called loop gain as well, which is very reactive sleep apnea. That's the real dangerous kind where people are dropping really low and the body overreacts to the changes in oxygen levels. And so I want to explain how to tape your mouth at night. Have you guys heard of that?
I was going to ask this question. Good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you were okay. Yeah. And so I want to talk about a healthy and correct way to tape your mouth. There are some products out there that just cover your whole mouth. And then they boast about it like, this is the most secure mouth tape on the market. Like, does that, now your intuition is like, I don't think I want to do that, right? And that's correct. I would say that is absolutely correct. And when I started my mouth taping journey, because it's part of sleep optimization, like when you're ready to sleep deeper and drop into a healthy restorative sleep, it's time to tape your mouth. Now, if you have sleep apnea and high loop gain sleep apnea, it's extremely important that you don't cover your whole mouth, because there's a puffing that happens for people like that needs to happen with sleep apnea. And it can be dangerous and worsen symptoms. If you don't have sleep apnea, you can, take a little bit more leeway, but it's still, I tape the same way. Now, the product I have is Patrick McEwen's MyoTape. If you can see that, it's probably backwards because it's called MyoTape, MYOTAPE. And that's Patrick McEwen in the back there. There he is. And what this is it goes around the outside of your mouth. So it keeps your lips open. So you can puff if you need to. And that, like I said, very important. But it encourages your lips to stay closed. The technique I use is the same material. It's KT tape.
Yep.
And it's very, very simple. I cut a small amount, just like this. And then I cut it even smaller. That's all I need. I don't go sideways. KT tape has stretch to it. So this one stretches this way, right? I simply, and I don't get the really strong KT tape, get the baseline KT tape. Because you want to be
wondering why some of your hair was missing on your mustache.
No, it is that bad. Like, or the heavy glues will stick on your lips forever, and you'll be halfway through the day. You look at yourself and you're like, my God, I've had all this tape on the end of my lips. So you just take it and put it across the tips of your mouth. Close your mouth. That's it. I can still talk. I can still breathe. It's simply just encouraging your lips to stay closed. And to get it off, you just go, and it's easy peasy. You will rip this off throughout the night when you start doing this, because it's new to your body, and your body's like, what the hell is this? And it'll wake up next to you, or it'll be stuck to your eyebrow. You know, the whole day you're walking around with this little, check your face in the morning. So it's very simple. Funny. So how we breathe in the day, we breathe at night. We want to encourage our mouth to stay closed at night to get deep sleep. A side effect of that is a huge increase in dental health. Side effect, like who would have thought that the gingivitis and all that stuff needs oxygen? So if you're mouth breathing, you're cooking your mouth all night long, and you have terrible halitosis, you have bad breath. When you close this, it all dies. And so, it's awesome. And so that hopefully that was helpful. That's kind of the journey, and we can get way deeper into stuff. But like I said before, reach out. You know, if you need some guidance through this kind of thing, like, man, this is my jam. I love it. Like this is absolutely. Does that all make sense?
It all makes sense, man. And how can people find you, Ryan, as far as if they have questions?
Yep.
Yes, we're at LifeSparkCreative.com. My email, you can email me through the site. We're going to be launching CO2 recovery series, which is a walking series, which is a 1-month CO2 recovery where people walk with me or arrive by Zoom. I'm still figuring out to make sure the coverage in the spot I want to do this is good enough that people from across the country can do this and join us live, because breathwork is also about community. And surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals who are ready to take a step in the right direction and prioritize self-care in a fun way. And so the CO2 walking series will be great. We have a breathwork immersion training coming up with Dan Brule. Like I said, this guy is one of the walking Western yogis among us, and he is a yogi. But the most important thing is he's a great guy that isn't interested in his ego. He's interested in helping you breathe in a way that to clear stuff. And so that is October 23rd through 27th. So it's coming up in Diamond Springs, California. I sent you guys, Dan, I sent you the flyer.
Dual Coast email. Yep. I saw.
Yeah. And so if people are interested now, if you just want to learn and experience breath work, that's awesome. If you feel like something's broken in your life, then definitely do it. Then come talk to us. Awesome. Come see us. And so, so the website's live. I have an Instagram as well that's linked, Facebook. It's all about, watch the videos, throw some comments in there. I love your opinions as well. Like, we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that I am elite in any way, but I care. And when we're operating in a group that cares, then we'll all help each other without ego. And that's the way it's all supposed to work out, I think.
That's awesome.
So that's it.
Ryan Patrick. LifeSpark Creative.
Round 2, baby. Let's go.
Round 2. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Don't
And
breathe too
check-
heavy. Don't breathe too
The
heavy.
biggest thing, check your face in the morning.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Ryan, thank you so much for being with us again today. Greatly appreciated. Everybody, please check out Ryan.
So good.
Park. That is
Love having you back.
I loved having you back, man. This is great.
Next time you can meet Julie.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The other half of the company, the silent half right now.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks a lot, you guys.
Please check out Dual Coast check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, all social media handles at Dual Coast Podcast. Guys, give a look at Ryan, please, at LifeSpark Creative. Check a look. I'll actually, Ryan, what I'll do is I'll post that on the Dual Coast Instagram. I'll post that the email you sent me.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Cheers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, take care. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you so much for listening.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Ryan.